My presentation is called The 5 Key Messages for the Prevention of Dog Bites, and that is the title of an educational material that we have created for school teachers. The idea actually started in 2010 with the Pan American Health Organization, and in 2013 in the Rabies in the Americas conference, I made a presentation called The Incredible Journey. Because it is 2015 and this project still continues, I have called this presentation The Incredible Journey Continues. Right, so before going into the story of how the material was created and where we are now, I think it is important to mention why it was created. Rabies is one of the largest drivers for inhumane dog culling around the world. This is just one picture to represent inhumane culling, but it happens in very different ways and almost all around the world. Even in parts where rabies is controlled, such as in Latin America, where I'm from, inhumane culling or culling in general still happens because people fear rabies or they fear dog bites. And this is still a cause of cruelty and mistreatment of dogs. Culling is not only an animal welfare issue, but also an inappropriate measure to control rabies. There are several examples around the world where culling in response to rabies has failed. Other measures such as mass dog rabies vaccination and education about responsible dog ownership are needed in order to tackle this fatal but preventable disease. As we have heard and will hear throughout the sessions in this conference, there are several components that need to be present in order to have a successful dog population management program. Education is one of them, and dog bite prevention education falls into this component. So, as one action within an integrated approach to stop culling, we decided to create a material that would help both people and animals. We wanted to have something that could help people to prevent people from getting bitten, especially children, because they're the most vulnerable population. And we decided to go ahead and create a poster with 5 short messages that would give people the most important tips to prevent getting bitten. This was the first version of the poster that we created. We used to be known as the World Society for the Protection of Animals, that's our old logo, and with support from the Pan American Health Organization and the Global Alliance for Rabies Control. The team was comprised, the smaller team was comprised of 2 veterinarians and 1 animal husbandry specialists, and we were very happy with the way that this material came out. We actually went through a lot of trouble, we went through a lot of material, a lot of bibliography, and we knew that we couldn't include everything, so we had to cut down, summarize, and basically just cut all out the non-relevant information. And this was very hard for us because, we're scientists, we like facts, we think that people should understand and know everything, but we went into a deep discussion with communications team, and they kept telling us, this is not going to work, that is way too much information, and a poster by itself will not work for children. And we had very emotional arguments, the communications team and ourselves, because we really thought that people needed to understand everything. So we decided to test this out. We had a little focus group with children in Costa Rica. They were 4 to 12-year-olds, and also a group of teachers. And what came out of that focus group and workshop was 3 basic learnings. One is that the teachers needed greater support. The poster by itself, they thought it was great, but they really didn't know how to use it very much. And they also said, well, if we have a poster, it's for older children. What do we do with the younger children? So one of the learnings was that we needed to create something that would help teachers out more. And the other is that the way in which children learn at different ages varies greatly. I think that some of you may be parents and you may know this, but for some people that don't have children, we had I don't know what we were thinking, but you have a 4-year-old, right? And they're still babies that walk and talk. And so what they can extract from the illustrations and the information that they can extract by reading some words is really not a lot. The 4 to 6 year olds, some of them can read some words, most of them can't read at all. 12-year-olds, some of them may read, some of them may read really well. So it was just the range, I call it the age range was really big. And the other thing is that we had worked so hard into making these illustrations perfect. We wanted them to tell a story. We wanted them to be able, for children, when they saw these illustrations, for them to be able to extract the meaning by themselves. That doesn't work in 4 to 6 year olds, is what we noticed. I mean, they need to get told what is going on. We would ask them, like this, like, what is this? This is an angry dog, right? Everybody here knows that's an angry dog. And they would say, I have a dog, I have a turtle. And they would just say these things, and it really worried us, and it really basically it was so evident that we needed a more robust kit of information. And the last thing is that this teacher, she did some workshop activities with all of the different age groups, and what we saw is that all sorts of activities with the children increase understanding at all age groups. It doesn't matter what. So from these findings, and from findings in other little focus groups and conferences with different people, what we knew is that the communications team was right, and that we had to do something that would make this educational material more useful for people. So what is the material? And I guess I forgot to tell you that the material is now in Spanish and Portuguese, and what you're going to see here is my translation into English, because we're still working on the translation in English. So the new 5 Keys for the Prevention of Dog Bites material is a pack that includes a series of educational material. The first is this guidance document, which gives the user useful information on what the pack holds, the public to which it is directed, mostly school teachers, and a guide on how to use it, and also information on the license to reproduce it, which, by the way, is free of charge and downloadable from our websites. One very important information that this guide mentions is that if you use the banner by itself, or if you use the poster by itself, you will not get the results that you need to get children to understand what they need to do. You can use it, it's fine, nothing will happen if you use them separately, but from our experience, if you only use part of the pack, it really will not give you the results needed. That's the reason why we created a more robust pack. So the idea is to use all these elements together. This is the teacher guidebook. As you can see, there is a part on the left has the key message, and on the part on the right, it has suggested activities that the teachers can actually do in class with their students. On the right, we have what the banner and the poster look like. The difference between them is the size. And then on the left, we have enlarged illustrations of each one of the illustrations, like this one, so that the teacher can use it in class with the children. These are the 5 key messages, in case you haven't seen them. Don't scare me or bother me, especially if I'm tied up or eating. And then the teacher booklet will actually give more information why you shouldn't, touch a dog while it's eating, because dogs are territorial, because they might want to protect their things. So the teachers will, that information that we wanted to provide everybody is actually what we channeled through the teacher booklet in the end. Get away from me when I'm angry, get away from me when I'm scared. The teacher booklet holds more information on what an angry dog looks like, and what a scared dog looks like, and why they may bite. 3rd key message is stay completely still if a dog comes towards you. Stand like a tree, lay like a log. Those seem to be pretty international tips for children. Number 4 is approach me carefully, and the teacher guideline will actually talk more about how children always need to be supervised by an adult when they are touching a dog, and they should always ask for permission, let the dog sniff your hand before you pet it, those sorts of things. And the 5th one is if a dog bites you, wash your wound and look for a doctor. We know that this is not a tip to prevent dog bites. I mean, by the time that the child gets to this, he has already been bitten, but a suggestion from the communications team is, if you want people to do this, you need to put it into your 5 key messages, because otherwise people, they'd never read the smaller print. If you put it at the bottom, they're not going to read it. So we thought that because it was such an important part of preventing rabies, we decided to put it in as one of the tips. So where are we now? The 5 keys for the prevention of dog bites material is in Spanish and Portuguese, and it is available in the World Animal Protection's website, Global Alliance for Rabies Control, and Pan American Health Organization website. And if you have any trouble finding it, please find me or any of the PAHO or GARC representatives, and we can help you. This is very exciting. Remember when I said that older children might use the poster, the material that we had originally was, I think, is made a little bit more for older children. So we decided to create something that would be very visual and would be very attractive for younger children, but I think it's going to be attractive for everybody. These are little clay figures, and it's going to be done in stop motion technique. You take lots of pictures and then you put them together, and the clay figures look like they're moving. So we're going to have 30 seconds videos for each one of these tips sometime in the very near future. And this is actually not where are we now, but where are we going. We hope to have a pilot project in Puno, Peru, with the Pan American Health Organization and the Ministry of Health and Education, where we're going to use the entire pack and train some educators, and then have them go out and train other educators. And therefore, with that information, we can test the material and see what the impact is on the knowledge of the children, on the application of the knowledge by the children, and on the number of dog bites 6 months to a year after. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie, for a very interesting presentation. And putting forward very interesting, what caught my attention was the process of evaluating and redeveloping the material to fit the different levels of audience. Thank you for finishing in time. Thank you for 5 key messages. I now open the floor for any questions. Please do come to the mic forward and introduce yourselves for any questions. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kati Leflef with IFA. How do you integrate these things into the curricula? How do you get buy-in from the teachers?
Well, I think there has to be a lot of, how do you say this, like willing people in the schools. If the director needs to be willing, and conversations need to be held with the people that are directly in charge of schools, or maybe even the Ministry of Education, which in my experience is a lot harder. But if you get to the Ministry of Education and they accept to do this and get that integrated, then it will be much easier to get that included in all schools. For example, in the case of Puno, Peru, it's a decision that Puno has taken. It is not necessarily going to be done in the entire country, but we hope that with this pilot project, it will motivate other parts of the country and other parts of Latin America to do so. I think what is very, very important is that teachers get continuous training, not speaking based on this material, but on other projects that we have had in schools. It's very usual when you train teachers that the next year they'll kind of forget about it, and if it's not integrated directly with the directors, it'll just fall apart in a few years. So there needs to be some sort of directriz. It's not a law because it's a school, but like something that's written that makes it official, yeah, officialized. And also, I think that there needs to be people that are continuously trained, and if you train a group of people that have ownership of this material, then it'll be easier for them to train the people in the schools every so often.